is News 4 St. Louis Nightside.
Tonight, the St. Louis sun is dark. It arrived with shining expectations, but it never broke out of the stormy financial clouds.
News 4 was first today to tell St. Louis of this major news story, and tonight we continue with the latest. Our News 4 team coverage tonight begins with Russ Mitchell.
St. Louis Sun editor-in-chief Ralph Ingersoll made the announcement at 5 this afternoon.
The St. Louis Sun published its final edition last night.
In a 15-minute statement, Ingersoll blamed the demise of his 7-month-old newspaper on what he called a market that cannot support 3 major papers. In that category, he put the Post-Dispatch, the Sun, and his journal newspapers.
It is clear that we could not achieve circulation to make this enterprise viable. I'm disappointed. We gave it our very best shot.
The Sun's much ballyhooed first edition was published on September 25th last year. Ingersoll hailed it as a fresh approach to journalism and predicted the tabloid would eventually surpass the circulation of the Post-Dispatch. Today, while the tears flowed in the lobby of the Sun building, words of sympathy came from the halls of the Post.
We're saddened for the people who worked hard at the Sun, and we're saddened for those in St. Louis who depended upon the paper.
It is a business that's changing, and these sorts of changes are never easy.
Ingersoll compared the failure of the Sun to the failure of new Coca-Cola a few years ago. He said despite all the market research saying it was what the public wanted, it bombed. But Ingersoll added,
If I had to do it all over again, I'd do it again.
Sun executives say they made the decision to shut down the paper 3 days ago, but they decided against publishing a farewell edition because they thought that once the news got out that the Sun was going out of business, the paper's delivery system would shut down prematurely. Some would say, just like the Sun. Russ Mitchell, News 4, Nightside.
It is apparent the news of the closing came as a complete surprise to Sun employees.
Many of those Sun staffers are now wondering what their next move will be. News 4 Nightside reporter Laurie Waters is standing by right now with more on their story. Laurie?
Larry and Julius, I'm at Kelly's Corner, a place which is located just down the street from the St. Louis Sun. A place where St. Louis Sun staffers have been here all afternoon trying to come to grips with what's happened to them, and possibly we can make excuses for any of their behaviors this evening. They are just trying to speculate what's going to happen for their future.
Everyone just really loved it. It was a great place to work, and it was really successful while we were on the streets.
We got friends at the Post-Dispatch. I mean, they told me, you know, they thought it was a good gamble. I thought it was a good gamble. It didn't pay off. That's all there is to it.
One tension reliever, this mock-up of the last issue of the St. Louis Sun, created courtesy of the graphics department.
We're just doing it for everybody. Everybody wanted some, and I think they're just one last thing to hold on to.
Many of the Sun staffers are out-of-towners who came here to launch a newspaper.
A lot of people really uprooted their lives to be part of what we thought was going to be a historic venture.
And it's not only the new arrivals in St. Louis who tonight are facing tough decisions.
I don't know that the Post wants me back. The Post-Dispatch seems to have done all right without Kevin Harrigan. They may decide they don't want me back.
That means I'm out of work. It means I don't know what's going to happen to my life or my family, and we'll have to rearrange things at my house and see what happens.
Do I stay in St. Louis and go corporate, public relations, whatever, or do I go out of town and stay in newspapers? And that's something I have to decide for myself and my family what's better for us in the long haul.
And Darrell Schultz is just one of the former Sun staffers who was also a former Globe Democrat staffer. So all in all, a sad day for the St. Louis Sun. Laurie Waters reporting live in downtown St. Louis.
All right, Laurie. One of the major attractions of the Sun is that it provided another perspective for sports fans, something some of those fans say they will miss a lot, and something the Sun's sports department will miss providing. Gary Apple has more on that.
I'm in shock. I'm standing here and I'm saying this isn't...
John Noel, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
The Sun is owned by Ingersoll Publishing, which also owns in this area the Suburban Journals and the Alton Telegraph.
Now, Deanne Lane joins us now with reaction from employees who are now out of a job. Deanne?
Karen and Dick, the employees we spoke with tonight had nothing but praise for their boss, citing their 12-week severance pay, health benefits, and a reported plan to help place the workers. But for most, that's the only bright spot. Disbelief and sorrow, saddened that an idea so many believed in would cease to exist.
It was quite a shock, and made some good friends, and it's hard to lose something you like.
The paper's heavy hitters say their only regret is not having more time to see if the Sun could really shine.
I think we produced a heck of a paper, and I had the time of my life doing it, and I would never, ever have done anything differently. I would have joined the paper again, even knowing that it would only last for 7 months. I think that we broke some good stories, and I think we gave the Post a run on some days for their money, and, you know, what more can you ask?
It's like a sharp stick in the eye. It's not any fun. It's very sad. I feel sorry, really sorry for all the people that we brought into town, sold them on this idea, sold them on the possibility. At the same time, you know, everybody got into this with their eyes open.
Some of the 200 employees out of work gathered at a local watering hole, not for a wake, but for a celebration of sorts, grateful for the opportunity.
I had a ball. $60,000 for today's final issue.
A lot of people, you know, they said that they wanted to support the Sun, or they were really rah-rah, but they didn't order it. You know, they didn't subscribe to it, or they wouldn't advertise it. And a lot of people talk, but they don't act, I guess.
Ingersoll spent much of today's news conference trying to deflect speculation that the Sun had fallen victim to its owner's penchant for high-risk junk bonds. Community Newspapers, a separate Ingersoll company, is nearing default on nearly $250 million in junk bonds.
It's a different company, has nothing to do with this. I emphasize the sole reason the St. Louis Sun could not succeed is its inability to generate adequate single-copy sales.
But outside observers say without the junk bond burden, the Sun would definitely still be on the streets tomorrow.
Here he was faced with difficulties.
The Second World War, the choice was down to the Globe Democrat and Post-Dispatch. In 1978, the Post and Globe merged their business operations, but the Globe retained its identity. In 1983, the Newhouse chain sold the Globe to Jeffrey Gluck, who lost the paper in a bankruptcy proceeding. Veritas Corporation then tried to operate the Globe, and it too lost a lot of money, and the Globe finally closed down for good in October of 1986. Just 2 years earlier, the publisher of the Post-Dispatch made this statement to Channel 5.
The best advice that we have is that the economy of St. Louis does not, has not, and may not support two newspapers.
Everyone seemed to forget Pulitzer's comment until last year, when Ralph Ingersoll unveiled the St. Louis Sun to readers.
And the newspaper history now seems to bear out the Pulitzer findings. St. Louis may indeed be a one-newspaper town.